Champs is a precise brooding method to minimize mortality during the brooding phase and maximize chick weight at 7 days of age. The goal is to create an optimal environment to promote animal well-being, encourage water and feed consumption, and reduce disease pressure in the barn. This method is designed for raising both antibiotic-free and conventional chickens. To get off to a good start, you have to prepare the barn. 4 elements are extremely important: temperature, water, feed, and bedding. In terms of temperature, it is important to preheat the barn and bedding at least 2 to 3 days prior to the chick's arrival. The target is to have a temperature of 90 to 93 degrees Fahrenheit at ground level. Water quality is also very important. Make sure that the pH stays at 6, that your chlorine level is greater than 2 ppm, and that the ORP level is greater than 650 millivolts. In terms of water, it is important to check not only the quality, but also to flush the water line, and then make sure that the droplet at the end of the nipple is at chick eye level so that the chicks are drawn to it. For the feed, you can spread sheets of paper under the feeders and add cardboard boxes. Calculate approximately 65 grams per chick, or the equivalent of 2 days of feed consumption. Also, make sure your cardboard boxes are in the comfort zones, that they are filled to the rim, and that your feed lines are at ground level. Lastly, check the temperature of your feed with an infrared thermometer. It should be at 93 degrees Fahrenheit. As for the bedding, the temperature should ideally be between 90 and 93 degrees Fahrenheit. For light intensity, make sure it is between 60 and 100 lux at bird level near the feeders so that they can find the feed easily. Make sure your temperature and humidity probes are at bird level, preferably in the center of the brooding area. When the chicks arrive, do not lower the temperature in your barn. You want them to be as comfortable as possible. You can dim the lights and place the chicks on the feed. On the first day, it is important to visit the birds regularly and stimulate them. It's important to encourage the chicks to move around so that they can find their way to the feeders to eat. Plan to visit them at hour 2, hour 4, hour 6, and even later in the evening so that they can find the water, feed, and their comfort zone. On day 2, you should check the performance of your Chick Champs routine. To measure your chick's comfort level, simply walk in the barn, pick up 25 birds walking one way, and another 25 coming back for a total of 50. Palpate the crop, and take the cloacal temperature and jot them down. Crop fill says a lot about whether a chick has eaten or not. For example, when a crop is empty or almost empty, you should give it a 0. This means that the bird has had no access to the feed. When the crop is the size of a small marble or chickpea, you should give it a 1. This means that the bird has eaten, but not enough, in our opinion. When the crop is full, and you can see that it's puffed up, it's plump, and that the chick is often bigger, you should give it a 2 in your chart. The goal is to have at least 95% of the birds having eaten, that is, 95% or more birds that have a crop of 1 or 2, ideally all 2. The cloacal temperature tells you if your chick is comfortable. There are 2 types of thermometers you can use. The first is a digital ear thermometer that takes the temperature quickly, though it may lack precision when it comes to higher temperatures. You can also use a simple oral thermometer that can be pressed lightly against the cloaca, but it is much slower. That is why people often prefer to use a digital ear thermometer. The goal is to have a cloacal temperature between 104 and 105.4 degrees Fahrenheit. This is your chick's comfort zone. If the chicks are outside this zone, they're too hot or too cold. Adjust your ventilation and heating accordingly. Once you've completed the chart, you can determine the discomfort zones, so when you have chicks with an empty crop, at 0, and temperatures below the lower limit of 104 degrees Fahrenheit, it means that these chicks have not eaten, and it likely corresponds to discomfort zones in your barn. It's time to fix things. The distribution of chicks in the barn is indicative of their comfort zone. This area should be big enough so that there is no crowding, but also so that the chicks can easily access water and feed. Remember, each barn and each flock is unique. Therefore, it's important to start each flock with strong brooding practices and make adjustments according to how the chicks are responding.